Today we're going to look at midsegments of a triangle. All right, the definition of a midsegment is this. It is a segment that is going to connect the midpoints of two sides of a triangle. All right, so in this picture, I've got two midpoints labeled. I know they're midpoints because they're splitting each side equally into two congruent parts. Okay, if I connect those midpoints, this little segment right here, that is, your mid segment. Now, there are three sides to a triangle. So if I were to find the third midpoint, and notice it's important I've got all these marked differently because I don't know that the three sides are congruent in length. So I can't assume that these smaller halves are all going to be equal length. So we mark them different. But if I find that midpoint, then I can connect that to that midpoint. So this would be a midsegment. I could connect these two midpoints. So this would be a midsegment. So I can draw three total midsegments in any given triangle. Now, the midsegment has some special properties, and it's these properties that allow us to solve problems. All right, the midsegment of a triangle, one is going to be parallel. And the second is that it is half the length of the third side. All right. Now let's talk about the parallel part. So in this first example, I'm going to mark that. All right. I know this is a midsegment because I've got a midpoint labeled here and a midpoint labeled here. These are going to be parallel always. So what does that mean? Well, this angle here is going to be congruent to this angle here. Why do I know that? Well, I can treat this side coming down as a transversal, and those are corresponding angles. Same thing's going to happen on this side. These two angles over here will be congruent because those are also corresponding. Now, that doesn't have anything to do with solving for x in this problem, but I wanted to point out what the midsegment being parallel to the third side means for the angles inside the triangle. All right, the rule we're going to use is that this midsegment is half the length of the third side. All right, so if we kind of say that out loud, the midsegment in this problem is x, and that equals half of the third side, which is 22. All right, that's how we can set up the equation. And so x would be 11. Now, some people, instead of using the fraction half, what they like to do is they like to say the third side is going to be double the midsegment. All right, so it's just another way to set up your equations, and I'm fine with that. And so you would divide by 2, and you get the same thing. Okay, so over here, you're either going to say 8, which is the midsegment, is half of the third side x, or you would tell me that the third side x is double the midsegment. Either way, all right, over here, we would just multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of the fraction. So x would be 16, or x would be 16. All right, you get the same thing. Just make sure you're taking half of the longest side or you are doubling the shorter side. So in part C here, example C, right? Again, the mid segment, which is x plus 3, is half of the third side, the longer side. That's one equation you could set up. Or the longer side, 3x plus 1, is going to equal double the midsegment. All right. Now, when you look at those two, and of course, you're not going to need to write both equations each time. All right. It's obviously easier with these algebraic expressions to distribute 2 instead of the 1/2. So 3x plus 1 will equal 2x plus 6. I can subtract the 2x, I'll get 1x. If I subtract the 1, I get 5. All right. Just to show you with the fraction what this one would look like, if I distribute the 1/2, we get x plus 3. This would give me 3/2 x plus 1/2. All right. So if I want to subtract, I'm going to subtract the x this way. I'm subtracting 1, which is like 2 over 2. So we've got 3 equals, and this then would give me 1/2 x plus 1/2. Then I would subtract the 1/2. All right. So this 3 is the same as 6 over 2. So 6/2 minus 1/2 gives me 5/2. And then lastly, I would multiply both sides by 2. And I would still get, oops, if you could see it, I would still get x equals 5. So certainly a little more complicated with that 1/2 fraction. All right. So keep in mind how you can double the shorter midsegment to help you with those algebraic problems. Okay. All right. You should be ready to practice.